Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 25. Shen Cao felt like the abacus beads were about to jump onto his face. He couldn't quite handle it, so he turned to wash his clothes, trying to divert his attention. He had never encountered someone so direct and enthusiastic before. He didn't enjoy going out much and rarely came across strangers. He only had some contact with colleagues and their families who frequently visited his father. Some of them had hinted at wanting to be related by marriage, whether it was their own desire or their daughter's intentions, he wasn't sure. Regardless, they were all subtle and reserved. The boldest maiden he had come across only dared to sneak glances at him during banquets. He thought he could handle such situations, but unexpectedly, he encountered someone completely different. This person seemed to be oblivious to subtlety, flaunting their boldness in certain aspects, occasionally scratching him with their claws, though it didn't hurt, just tickled a bit. The next day, as dawn broke, a few scattered clouds hung in the sky. Shen Cao got up as usual, washed up, and practiced in the courtyard. Since he started walking to town every day, he had stopped running and instead, he chopped firewood. After a while of chopping wood, he started sweating slightly, so he stopped and fanned himself while slight opening his collar. As he casually glanced around, his gaze suddenly paused when he saw Lu Shu smiling by the window. He hesitated for a moment, then he stiffened. He buttoned up his collar, pretended not to have seen anything, and continued chopping wood. Lu Shu admired the handsome man chopping wood for a while before happily getting up from bed. Even his morning grumpiness disappeared. While washing his face in the kitchen, Shen Cao passed by him and washed his face and hands in a basin. Lu Shu glanced at him, his gaze lingering on the back of his neck for a moment, then casually remarked, "You're sweating. Yet. Did you sleep well last night?" "Pretty well. Are you still get used to sleeping alone?" "I'm used to it." "Ah, I'm not used to it anymore." Lu Shu sighed sadly. "We used to sleep so happily together in the inn." Shen Cao. Did they? After a good breakfast, before the sun had fully risen, Lu Shu wanted Shen Cao to stay a bit longer, but he was afraid of being late. After some hesitation, he urged, "You should leave." "I'm leaving." Shen Cao picked up his bag. The two of them spoke almost simultaneously. "Okay, I'll walk you out." Lu Shu put on his grass hat and they left together. After a short walk, they arrived at the bamboo weaver's house, where he waved and said, "Come back soon." "Yeah, you take care too, don't faint from exhaustion again." After exchanging some reminders, they parted ways. The bamboo weaver was sitting in the courtyard, drinking porridge. When he saw Lu Shu come in, he was about to ask if he wanted some, but saw the guy walk past him to the wall, prop up his hands, stick his head out, stare at the figure walking away for a while, then casually come over and sit down as if nothing had happened. "Porridge, do you want some?" the bamboo weaver asked concisely. Lu Shu looked at the clean white porridge in his bowl and felt a bit tempted, but he still shook his head to say, "I've eaten already." The bamboo weaver didn't say anything anymore and just ate his porridge a little faster than before. "If I go bamboo cutting today, can I go hunting too?" Lu Shu began to negotiate with him. "Hunting?" The bamboo weaver looked at him in surprise, focusing on his thin arms. "You want to hunt?" "Yeah, is that a problem?" Lu Shu squinted. The bamboo weaver shook his head and replied, "No problem, do as you like." In the morning, the two went up the mountain. The bamboo weaver cut bamboo in the bamboo forest, surprised to see that Lu Shu was actually carrying a bough into the woods. But he didn't say anything and just continued with his work, thinking they should make an extra dish for lunch to comfort him. "I'm serious, it's not because I lack skill, there's just nothing to hunt in the woods," Lu Shu said indignantly, picking up some dishes and eating 2 bites at a time. What's this dish? It's surprisingly delicious. Stir-fried pork with potatoes. It's really good." Lu Shu ate 3 bowls of rice in a frenzy. When he looked up, he found that the bamboo weaver had also finished eating, and there wasn't a single grain of rice left in his bowl. Upon careful recollection, he realized that the other person had only gone to refill his bowl once. For mature men like them, after doing physical work, their appetite would increase. Even he was eating more than before. These 2 small bowls were definitely not enough. Did I eat all your rice? Lu Shu suddenly felt apologetic. He used to think it was just a matter of adding an extra set of tableware, but now he realized that with his eating habits, he could easily eat them out of house and home, especially since he hadn't been able to come up with anything himself, and he had been coming here for lunch every day. It was really inappropriate. It's no problem. The bamboo weaver denied it. Lu Shu didn't believe him, so he went into the kitchen and lifted the lid of the pot. To his surprise, even the pot was scraped clean. Bamboo weaver, ... Lu Shu turned his head and suddenly said, "Next time you go to town to sell things, take me with you. I'll help you sell your wares." "Can I?" the bamboo weaver asked excitedly. Ever since he witnessed the others' selling skills, he had been thinking about it but was too embarrassed to bring it up. "Of course you can. You just need to provide me with lunch." "No problem, no problem," the bamboo weaver said excitedly, not knowing what to say. Finally, he took out a plate of melon seeds and a large watermelon from the cupboard and handed them over. "These are for you." Lu Shu was speechless. After a short nap at noon, he got up to start working. He hadn't learned how to use the crafting tool properly, so after making a few bamboo dragonflies, he suddenly had an idea. "Big brother, can you make a rabbit or a bird?" "I haven't done it before, but I can try." The bamboo weaver paused for a moment, looked directly at him, and after nearly a month of observation, he hadn't seen the lad sit still for more than half an hour. He thought for a moment before tactfully suggesting, "Would you consider learning another craft?" Lu Shu's mouth drooped. "Do you also think I'm no good?" "It's not that you're no good, just that you're not fit at it." The bamboo weaver wanted to say that Aunt Zhu's son, who was only 9 years old, only did it as hobby, but the way he cut bamboo strips was even better than Lu Shu. However, he held back and instead looked at the bow hanging on the wall. "You wanted to go hunting, right?" "Yeah, can I go now?" "Go ahead." Lu Shu picked up his bow and rushed out, clearly excited. He plunged into the woods where he squatted for a while but didn't find any prey. However, he picked a lot of wild fruits, especially mulberries. On the way down the mountain, he saw a familiar figure in the distance and shouted, "Ah cow, ah cow, ah cow." Shen Cao turned around, waited in place and watched him jog over, a smile involuntarily appearing on his lips. "Look at the good things I picked." Lu Shu pointed proudly to the fruits in his clothes pocket. "So many mulberries." Shen Cao took the leaves from his head. "Did you pick them in the woods?" "Yeah, I originally wanted to go hunting but I didn't see any prey." Lu Shu walked home with him and said worriedly, "There's not a single hunter in this village. Is it because there's no prey at all?" Shen Cao gazed into the mountains for a while before saying, "There should be prey around." "Okay, then I'll try again." Lu Shu suddenly sniffed and finally leaned over to smell him. "What's that smell? It's so good." Shen Cao smiled and opened his bag. "It's roast chicken." Lu Shu looked at him in surprise. "We're having roast chicken today?" "Yeah, I got my monthly salary today." Shen Cao smiled. Passing by the bamboo weaver's house, Shen Cao went to settle the bill first, as they had agreed beforehand that Lu Shu would eat lunch here and he would cover the expenses once he got paid. However, the bamboo weaver refused, saying that he had already discussed it with Lu Shu. "I'll help him sell his wares and he's going to provide me with lunch." Lu Shu explained quietly to him, but he also had a little plan in mind. This way, it would be convenient for him to go to town and hang out with Shen Cao. Shen Cao understood and thought it was a good collaboration. He even offered to pay the bamboo weaver for taking him on as an apprentice, but the bamboo weaver refused again. He's not suitable for this. It's better for him to switch to another trade sooner rather than later, Shen Cao said. But the bamboo weaver remained resolute. In fact, he had been quite happy this past month. Although he didn't show it, since Lu Shu came to learn the trade, his place had become much livelier. The courtyard was always bustling and Shen Cao would show up in the evenings to take Lu Shu away. If they had free time at night, they would bring a few villagers over to chat. Although he couldn't join in the conversation, hearing about the trivial matters made him feel warm. This home was no longer so desolate. Don't mind seeing him continue to refuse. Lu Shu was about to retreat to the outhouse when he grabbed Shen Cao, smiled and then said, "I'll just help him sell more things to make up for it." It seemed that was the only option. After they returned home, Lu Shu went to wash the mulberries while Shen Cao skillfully cooked in the kitchen, though his cooking proficiency was limited. "Try it." Lu Shu fed a mulberry to him, and Shen Cao, sitting by the stove with tongs in hand, took a bite. "How is it?" "Delicious. You should have some, too. I ate a lot when I was picking them." Lu Shu kept feeding him, and Shen Cao couldn't stop eating. His mouth was almost full, so he had to use his hand to stop Lu Shu's from feeding him. "Ha ha ha!" Lu Shu suddenly burst into laughter, pointing at his mouth. "Your mouth is all purple." "Really?" Shen Cao couldn't see his own face now, but judging from his laughter, it should be quite amusing. He couldn't help but laugh, too. "Does it look bad?" "Not bad, just strangely amusing." Lu Shu laughed until tears almost came out of his eyes, reaching out to wipe the juice off his mouth. He missed a spot a few times. The candle flame flickered and Lu Shu suddenly came to his senses, realizing that they were too close, their breath almost mingling. He gradually suppressed his smile and his Adam's apple bobbed lightly. A strange atmosphere lingered between them as Shen Cao stared into his eyes, unmoving. Lu Shu's eyes half lowered, gazing at his lips, his body leaning forward slowly, his eyes flickering. But just as they were about a finger's distance apart, he stopped and moved his thumb from the corner of his mouth to his lips, suddenly chuckling softly. "The food is burning." End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 26. That night, Shen Cao, who usually sleeps well, couldn't fall asleep at all. He lay on the bed, staring with bright eyes in the darkness, while the chirping of cicadas and the croaking of frogs outside were so distinct. He knew the reason for his insomnia, and reason told him that he should close his eyes now and not think about anything else so he could fall asleep quickly. But his brain was unusually active, sometimes remembering how well-behaved and quiet Lu Shu became during dinner, and sometimes that almost kiss that happened earlier. The fact that it didn't happen left him somewhat confused. He couldn't deny nor confirm if Lu Shu really wanted to kiss him. What if it was just an accidental proximity? He got up, took a candle and went to the hall to drink some water. He found that Lu Shu's door was not closed. He walked to the door and listened to the even breathing of the sleeping person inside. He carefully closed the door, then turned and went back to his room. Once there was no more movement next door, the supposedly sleeping person suddenly opened his eyes, slowly pulled up the covers and covered himself completely. Hee hee. Lu Shu secretly smiled. He thought the other person would be angry at his sudden move, but fortunately his Akao was a kind person. It was also fortunate that he stopped in time. Otherwise, he would really have embarrassed himself. He needed to plan carefully and take it slow. The next morning, as soon as Lu Shu opened his eyes, he sat up and leaned against the window, staring at Shen Cao chopping wood without looking away. He looked at that figure go tut tut tut, and at that face, tut tut tut. This young master Lu really had such high standards. In the whole Jinling, there was no one more stunning than his man. Moreover, this stunning person reads, writes, chops wood, cooks. Was there anyone more suitable to be his wife? He needed to figure out a way to hook him. Awake. Shen Cao turned his head. Yet, even though there was a distance between them, Lu Shu subconsciously rubbed his eyes, confirmed there was no sleep in them and then smiled at the other person. Good morning, Ah Cao. Morning. After finishing chopping the wood needed for the next few days, Shen Cao went into the house to make breakfast. However, as soon as he lit the fire, Lu Shu walked in without even properly dressing himself, as one end of his clothes slung over his waist, exposing a fair shoulder and delicate collarbone. The match almost set his hair on fire. After lighting the firewood, he said without looking up, "Get dressed properly." Oh, Lu Shu pulled up his clothes as he looked at Shen Cao's unaffected appearance. He pursed his lips and thought for a moment. Suddenly, his eyes lit up. He walked to Shen Cao's side as the other man gave him a puzzled look. Then, he sat sideways on his leg, hooked his shoulder with his right hand, and lifted his chin with the other hand. "Master, play with me." Shen Cao lowered his eyes and said word by word, "You better explain where you learned all this from." Lu Shu. Drunken Red Pavilion's top courtesan, Nei Chong. Does this move not work either? Lu Shu fell into contemplation. Can you go down first? The fire is about to go out. Shen Cao gritted his teeth. Oh, sorry. Lu Shu hurriedly left, not daring to disturb him again while he was starting the fire. ******. Breakfast consisted of thick porridge and a couple of wrinkled boiled eggs, and they were both about to start their day's work. With the bamboo weaver's work temporarily finished, Lu Shu embarked on a new hunting expedition. He carried his bow and arrow and went out with Shen Cao. When they reached the foot of the mountain ahead, Shen Cao instructed, "Be careful, if you can't catch any prey, it's okay. Don't get hurt." Lu Shu was very touched, but then he heard him continue, "Medical fees are quite expensive." Yes, health is the most important. Although Lu Shu agreed verbally, he was determined in his heart to catch something big to prove that he also had the ability to earn money to support the family, so that Ah Cao would look at him with respect. Shen Cao glanced at the sky. "Well, I'm off. You should go earlier too, or it will be too hot later. This weather is really... the summer heat is sweet if it's with you." Lu Shu smirked and poked him in the chest. Shen Cao... Shen Cao turned around in silence and walked away without looking back. Does this move not work either? Lu Shu climbed the mountain in despair, criticizing the top courtesans in his mind. "You're all so bad at seducing men." Even worse was his hunting result. After a whole day he still hadn't spotted any prey, making him gloomy during dinner time. "It's okay, it's normal. If prey were so easy to come by, everyone would just hunt and no one would do anything else. Let's be patient, we'll definitely get something next time." Shen Cao comforted. Like a wilted sunflower, Lu Shu drooped his head on the table and muttered, unable to lift his spirits. Shen Cao reached out and touched his head, then took out a bag of candied fruit from his bag and put it in front of him. "Eat this and don't be sad anymore." Lu Shu's eyes lit up and he sat up straight. "When did you buy this?" "When I passed by the shop on my way back, I bought some." "Where did you get so much money?" "I have a decent monthly salary, enough to afford these snacks." Shen Cao lowered his eyes guiltily. "Let's eat together." Taking a piece of candied fruit, Lu Shu brought it to Shen Cao's mouth. For some reason, both of them froze for a moment. Shen Cao then reached out to take it and said, "I'll handle it myself, thank you." "Okay." Lu Shu innocently smiled and ate a few pieces before restraining his cravings, planning to save the rest and eat a little every day. They also cut the watermelon given by the bamboo weaver and they sat in the courtyard eating it while listening to the cicadas chirping. Shen Cao looked up at the moon and suddenly remembered that the Mid-Autumn Festival was next month. This would be the first Mid-Autumn Festival he would be spending away from his family. After being away for so long, he found that his homesickness seemed to have faded a lot recently, and he didn't feel as lonely anymore. Xiao Wu. Lu Shu looked up, with watermelon juice around his mouth, looking at him blankly. But before he could continue, Shen Cao smiled lightly and said, "It's nothing." Oh, Lu Shu lowered his head and happily continued eating watermelon. After squatting for 3 or 4 days, Lu Shu finally caught a wild rabbit. As luck would have it, he quickly pulled the bowstring and in the blink of an eye, the arrow hit the rabbit's leg. When he got to the rabbit, he examined its leg and thought to himself that hunting was indeed different. Normally, he practiced his aim on stationary targets, but there was a certain margin of error when it came to hitting moving targets. He aimed for the belly but hit the leg instead. Nonetheless, at least he hit it, which was some progress. When Shen Cao returned home, Lu Shu immediately pointed to the cage and said, "Look, I caught a rabbit." "Really?" Shen Cao walked over joyfully and saw the rabbit lying limply inside the cage, its left leg wrapped in cloth with blood seeping out. "I don't know how to deal with it. It's been bleeding, so I thought I should bandage it, but it doesn't seem to have much effect." Lu Shu looked worriedly. Shen Cao took the rabbit out of the cage, removed the cloth, examined the wound, then handed the rabbit back to Lu Shu and went inside to find herbs. After preparing the medicine, he applied it to the cloth and rewrapped the rabbit's leg, saying, "It might not work, but let's try." "Okay." The next day when Shen Cao returned home, he saw Lu Shu looking even more worried. He turned to the cage and indeed found 2 more rabbits, one of them very small. "Ah cow, the legs of these 2. Lu Shu hesitated as he looked at him, and Shen Cao immediately understood. He turned and walked into the house. "I'll go get some more medicine." While applying the medicine, Lu Shu couldn't help but say, "I didn't see any prey for several days, but now they keep appearing one after another. Could it be that they are a family?" "It's possible." Shen Cao put the 2 rabbits back into the cage, watching them cuddle together. He met Lu Shu's conflicted gaze and suddenly smiled. "I don't know how to cook rabbit meat." Lu Shu understood his unspoken words and instantly felt relieved, showing a happy smile. "I'm not a big fan of rabbit meat either." "Oh, where did these rabbits come from?" Aunt Zhu's voice came from the gate as she entered with a basket of corn. She walked over with a smile and said, "These are wild rabbits, right? Did you catch them?" "Yes, Xiao Wu caught them." Shen Cao said proudly. "Xiao Wu is amazing." Lu Shu chuckled and then she said, "Do you 2 big men know how to cook rabbit meat? If not, leave it to me. I'll make spicy rabbit for you." "Don't worry, I don't like rabbit meat," Lu Shu quickly declined. Aunt Zhu looked at Shen Cao again, and Shen Cao nodded, "Yeah, we both don't like it." "So what are you going to do with that?" "We'll release them once they've healed, right?" Lu Shu sought Shen Cao's opinion, and Shen Cao nodded in agreement. Aunt Zhu remained indifferent to their kindness and even thought they were crazy. They spent so much effort catching them, treated their wounds, and now they were just going to release them. It seemed absurd to her. She chuckled and then turned to her business there. "Brother Cao, you helped me write a letter last time. This corn was just picked today, so I specially brought some for you. If it's not enough, just let me know." "Thank you, and thanks for coming all the way here to deliver it," Shen Cao didn't refuse. Here, everyone helped each other, and reciprocating favors was just how things were done. "Oh, this short trip is nothing. I couldn't even bring much anyway," Aunt Zhu smiled and waved her hand, then sighed with annoyance, "It's all because of the wild boars that had been appearing lately and eating so much of our crops. It's really annoying." "Wild boars?" Lu Shu asked curiously, "Have you seen them? Their footprints are all over the fields, so it must be wild boars. They've appeared before, but this time they seemed much larger, and they've been eating a lot. But enough about that, I need to go back and cook dinner." Aunt Zhu finished her annoyed remarks and left. Lu Shu rubbed his chin mischievously, "I don't like rabbit meat, but wild boar meat seems pretty good." Wild boars are too big, it's a bit dangerous. Don't go, Shen Cao advised. Okay. Lu Shu agreed verbally, but the next day he went to hunt for wild boars. He thought it would take a few days, but his luck was good. As he was munching on boiled corn, there was suddenly movement ahead, and the corn stalks swayed. In the evening, Shen Cao returned home early for once, only to find the house empty. Standing in the courtyard, he looked towards the nearby woods for a long time. Seeing that the sun had already set and the sky was grey, he was about to go out to search when someone shouted, "Quick, someone help, brother Xiao Wu caught a wild boar." Shen Cao immediately followed the direction of the voice and ran out. He could see a group of people dragging a large wild boar back, with over a dozen arrows stuck in it. He caught up and asked Aunt Zhu, who was leading the way, "Where's Xiao Wu?" Behind, Aunt Zhu pointed backward. As they spoke, the people behind also approached and they saw Lu Shu with a swollen forehead and a bit of blood on it. He was being supported by Aunt Zhu's husband. "Xiao Wu." Lu Shu turned to look at him and immediately smiled, "Ah Cao, I caught a wild boar." Shen Cao walked up in 3 or 2 steps, took Lu Shu from Aunt Zhu's husband, and supported him by his shoulder. His brow furrowed tightly as he asked, "Are you injured anywhere else?" Lu Shu pointed to his knee, "I also fell here and hit a stone." No wonder he needed help to walk. Shen Cao squatted down in front of him, "Get on." Lu Shu didn't stand on ceremony either. He handed over the bow and arrow to others and immediately get on Shen Cao's back. Unable to help boasting, he said, "It's such a big boar and I caught it all by myself." "How did you catch it?" "The wild boar was too fierce. One arrow couldn't kill it, so I shot many arrows and then it went crazy and ran around, and hit a tree." "How did you get injured then?" I bumped into the boar." Lu Shu said bashfully, burying his head in Shen Cao's neck, "No laughing." "I'm not." "You said you're not laughing but your shoulders are shaking so much." End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 27. The villagers dragged the wild boar back and immediately called for the butcher. With a swift motion, a white knife went in and red knife went out. The wild boar let out a piercing cry, ending its life. Sitting on a stool, Lu Shu was startled by the sound. He was about to cover his ears when another pair of hands reached out to cover them first. Turning his head, he saw the owner of the hands watching the scene of butchering from afar, with a slight furrow in his brow. Unable to hold back, he chuckled, "Go help Aunt Zhu and the others with the fire." Everyone knew that these 2 lads couldn't handle such a big wild boar, so they spontaneously organized themselves. The men slaughtered the pig outside, while the women heated water in the kitchen, bustling about in an orderly manner. Meanwhile, the 2 hosts were at a loss here. Shen Cao finished applying medicine to Lu Shu's knees and went into the kitchen to help. Lu Shu glanced at the scene where the butcher was cutting up the pig, then looked away and started playing with a forked twig in his hand, before picking up a knife to whittle. Soon, he made a slingshot. After more than an hour, the meat in the pot was ready. Everyone gathered in the courtyard for a satisfying meal. Someone brought wine from home, and the men drank heartily. Lu Shu also had some. It was sorghum wine which was not as good as the fine wines he had drunk before, but it tasted especially good at this moment. The weather was already hot and with the addition of alcohol, the men unbuttoned their shirts, baring their chests. The women seemed accustomed to this as they continued chatting at another table. Aunt Zhu pointed at the men at this table and laughed, "Look, only Brother Cao and Xiao Wu are still covered up." Sister Xiang said, "They're still young so they're shy." "Indeed, after they get married, they won't be so shy anymore," Aunt Zhu said with a smile. "But really, I kinda want to see these 2 young men take off their clothes. If only I were 10 years younger." The women all laughed. "Come on, Xiao Wu, have a drink." Aunt Zhu's husband became particularly bold after having some drink. He pointed his cup towards Lu Shu and said, "Xiao Wu, you're amazing. You managed to take down such a big wild boar all by yourself, solving our big problem. Here, cheers. Cheers. Lu Shu raised his cup and downed it. Brother K, don't just sit there, come join us. I can't handle alcohol much, so can I just have one with you? Shen Cao asked. Sure. They were more lenient towards him at the drinking table, as there was a kind of inexplicable admiration for scholars among them. Are you okay? Lu Shu turned his head to look at Shen Cao, who hadn't touched his drink. Shall I drink it for you? It's okay, it's rare that everyone is this happy. Shen Cao lifted his cup and drank it all in one gulp. Lu Shu keenly noticed that when he put down the cup, his fingers seemed to tremble slightly. Could it be? Xiao Wu, you should finish eating the pork soon, it won't keep in this weather, Aunt Zhu shouted from the other table. We can make preserved meat, but it might spoil in this weather, Sister Xiang said. No need, when you all leave later, each of you take a chunk of meat back. We can't finish it all anyway, Lu Shu said. While everyone was spontaneously helping earlier, he and Shen Cao had discussed how to deal with the meat. The others were all taken aback. You're giving it to us for free. If it weren't for your help, we wouldn't be able to eat such delicious meat, Lu Shu said. The crowd cheered, and the drinkers became even more enthusiastic. Under the influence of alcohol, even the bamboo weaver struck up a conversation with someone. It wasn't until midnight that they dispersed, each taking a piece of meat with them, feeling embarrassed to take too much. Lu Shu wanted to give them more, but Aunt Zhu said, take the rest to town to sell, you can make a good profit. We're lucky to have a taste of it, don't give us more. Okay, then next time I'll bring another one for us to eat together, Lu Shu said with a smile. Others encouraged him to hunt down all the wild boars in the mountains. After everyone left, Lu Shu helped Shen Cao back to the room. As soon as he touched the bed, Shen Cao automatically lay down and reached for his belt. Still dizzy, Lu Shu lifted his upper body, helped him take off his outer robes and looked at his flushed face. Then he fetched a basin of cold water to wash his face as he teased, your alcohol tolerance is really bad. Shen Cao could still hear what he was saying, but his head was a bit dizzy, his eyelids heavy as he mumbled, that's why my parents never let me entertain guests, it's always my older brother who did so. Older brother? You have an older brother? Lu Shu asked curiously. Yeah. Is he handsome? Yes. What's his name? Shen Cao hesitated for a moment before his lips parted slightly, but just then, the barking of dogs outside startled Lu Shu, who hurriedly ran out to check, missing Shen Cao's soft murmur of Shen Hui. The leftover food outside had not been collected yet, and it attracted some wild dogs which woke up the hens that began squawking loudly. Lu Shu grabbed a broom and chased the wild dogs out of the yard. He locked the gate and then went to clean up the mess. This commotion delayed him for some time. He huddled in the kitchen washing dishes, yawning one after another. Suddenly, he felt a great admiration for Aunt Zhu and the others. If he had to cook, do dishes and light fires in the kitchen every day, he would surely go crazy. There was a faint sound of movement behind him. He turned to see Shen Cao leaning against the doorway, quietly watching him. If it weren't for the slightly glazed look in his eyes, one wouldn't even realize he was drunk. Why are you up? Can't sleep? Lu Shu asked. Looking for some water, Shen Cao's throat was a little dry. He took a couple of steps forward but couldn't walk straight. When he almost bumped into the water jug, Lu Shu stopped him just in time, pulled him into the living room, and made him sit down. After pouring him a cup of tea, he handed it to his lips, saying, "Be careful not to spill." Shen Cao obediently agreed, but still couldn't control himself while drinking, spilling some down the corner of his mouth. Lu Shu couldn't help but laugh and wiped the water stains off him. "You're like a child now." Shen Cao blinked slowly and denied, "I'm not a child." After he finished drinking, Lu Shu prepared to take him back to bed, but Shen Kao resisted and asked, "What about you? I'll tidy up the kitchen and then go to sleep. I'll help you." Shen Kao tried to stand up, but Lu Shu pushed him down. "No need. Then I'll keep you company." Shen Kao changed his wording. "All right." Shen Kao sat in the living room, propping his chin with one hand. By the candlelight, he watched Lu Shu busying himself in the kitchen for a long time. His figure gradually became blurry, and before he knew it, he fell asleep. When he woke up again, he was in his own bed. He sat up in a daze for a moment, then pushed open the window. Not far away, Lu Shu was feeding the chickens. "Awake? You're going to be late today," Lu Shu joked. Shen Kao was startled and quickly got out of bed. He saw breakfast on the table, which was a few large steamed buns. Yesterday, Aunt Zhu steamed quite a few steamed buns in the kitchen, specifically for them to have for breakfast. The two of them ate breakfast together and Lu Shu laughed. "Don't worry, Brother Chao is going to town to sell things later and he'll take us with him, so you won't be late." Yet, Shen Kao suddenly realized, "Today is market day, I almost forgot." "What else do you remember?" Lu Shu asked curiously. "Do you remember what happened after you got drunk last night?" Shen Kao hesitated for a moment, then asked in return, "What did I do?" "You," Lu Shu glanced at him, then smirked, "Last night, you told me that you really liked me and wanted to marry me." Shen Kao, ... Shen Kao took a bite of his steamed bun, but his expression remained unchanged. It's unethical to deceive someone with poor alcohol tolerance. Lu Shu observed him for a long time, then sighed regretfully, "Looks like you remember everything." "There's one thing I don't remember." Shen Kao touched his forehead, which was slightly swollen. "Why does it hurt a bit here?" Lu Shu lowered his head and nibbled on his steamed bun. "Did you secretly hit me?" Shen Kao asked. "Of course not." Lu Shu explained nervously, "You fell asleep in the living room, so I carried you to your room. I didn't expect you to be so heavy. I almost hurt my back. Just as I was about to put you on the bed, you fell off and hit the bed frame." Lu Shu cautiously glanced at him from the corner of his eye. "Are you not angry?" "Angry about what?" "Angry that you did everything by yourself? Angry that you painstakingly carried me back to the room." Shen Kao quickly changed his wording, "Took me back to the room." Lu Shu grinned, then self-consciously added, "It wasn't a big deal, really. I just wasn't prepared. Otherwise, I could have easily carried you. Let's try it next time if you don't believe me." Shen Kao smiled. After breakfast, the two of them packed up the remaining wild boar meat. When the bamboo weaver's cart arrived, they loaded it up. Sitting on the swaying cart, Lu Shu kept edging closer to Shen Kao, almost leaning on him. He shamelessly explained, "There's too much stuff today, there's no room to sit." Before Shen Kao could say anything, the bamboo weaver turned around anxiously and pointed to a small empty space next to him, saying very considerately, "There's still a seat here. I specially made room for you, so it won't be crowded." However, it seemed that his words did not receive a positive response. Lu Shu gave him a dissatisfied look which puzzled the bamboo weaver. Shen Kao turned his head to look at the scenery outside, and the corners of his mouth twitched slightly before he managed to suppress his smile. After arriving in town, Shen Kao parted ways with them and went to the inn. They went to the market to sell things, which went much smoother this time. All thanks to that bamboo rabbit. After Lu Shu mentioned it to the bamboo weaver last time, the bamboo weaver actually took the time to think about it and made one to give to Lu Shu. He thought Lu Shu wanted it for himself, but unexpectedly, Lu Shu brought it this time and put it on the stall, attracting the attention of passers-by. However, the wild boar meat sold the fastest. Lu Shu counted the silver coins, a total of 2 taels and 9 wen, and he was overjoyed. "This is the first time I've truly earned money. Before, he had made some extra money by gambling, but when he handed it over to Shen Cao, he felt a bit guilty. But this time was different. This income came from his own labor, a legitimate profit, and he had nothing to feel guilty about. At noon, they went to eat separately. Lu Shu carried a specially prepared large ham and hurried to the Zhang family, knocking on the door. "Is Zhang Moyang at home?" "Yes, do you know our young master?" asked the servant who opened the door. "Yeah, go inform him that Xiao Wu is here." In no time, Zhang Moyang swaggered out of the door with a fan in hand. "You brat still remember to come find me. What's up?" Lu Shu handed the rope with the ham tied to it to him. Zhang Moyang stared at the thing, showing a puzzled expression. "Where did you get this?" "I made it myself." "You brought it all the way here?" Zhang Moyang's mouth curled up. "I'll give you credit for that. This is for your sister." "Hey! Anyway, it's for her." Zhang Moyang stared at him with a somewhat elusive look. If he didn't know that he liked men, he might have thought he had fallen for his sister. But he immediately guessed the reason. "You feel sorry for her because you've fallen for Cao Shen, right?" "It's not really feeling sorry. She and I are in a fair competition, but I feel a bit embarrassed. She should know by now, right?" "Of course, she knows." Zhang Moyang told Zhang Moshan about the affair between these two dogmen at the first opportunity. Fortunately, his sister took it well and didn't make a big fuss, calmly accepting the situation. "My sister asked me to give you a message." "What message?" "Don't try to mooch her kanji anymore in the future." "Oh, okay." Zhang Moyang glanced at him, dryly saying, "But you're welcome to come to the Zhang family for meals." Lu Shu suddenly raised his head. "Really? Are you doubting me?" Zhang Moyang glared at him. No. Lu Shu smiled, took out something from his pocket and threw it to him. "This is for you, I'm leaving." Zhang Moyang lowered his head and found it was a slingshot. It looked brand new, making people suspect it was made in the past few days. He shouted, "Did you make this?" "Just made an extra one out of boredom." Lu Shu turned around, waved his hand and said, "That's it, I'm off to pick up my man. Get out of here. I want to see when you actually succeed." Zhang Moyang spat, then had the servant take the ham inside and pulled the slingshot, suddenly laughing. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Lu Shu ran to the inn and pushed the door open. "Missed me." To his surprise, there was also a monk sitting at the table besides Shen Cao. The monk put away the sutra in his hand and replied, "No." Lu Shu snorted coldly, the two of them were back to not being alone again. He went over to pour himself some water and casually asked, "What have you been busy with these days?" "Performing rituals. Many people have come to the temple recently seeking marriage." "Is it effective?" "During my rituals, 3 pairs have formed." Lu Shu suddenly looked at him, tightly holding his hand and looking devout. "Master, please help me perform a ritual. I urgently need a marriage fate." Shen Cao, ... Hui Shang calculated on his fingers, "Your marriage fate cannot be formed." "Why can't it be formed?" Lu Shu frowned, then turned to Shen Cao, seemingly wanting an explanation from him. Shen Cao, ... "Your true fate seems to be avoiding you," Hui Shang said. Lu Shu's gaze towards Shen Cao gradually became dangerous, as if asking him why he was avoiding him. Shen Cao, ... "Similarly, you are also fleeing from your true fate." Lu Shu, ... Lu Shu hastened to assure Shen Cao, "That's not possible." Shen Cao covered his face. "You and your true fate seem to be in a mutual process of avoidance, and I can't help with this marriage fate," Hui Shang concluded. "Charlatan, you're big charlatan." Lu Shu completely didn't believe in his nonsense. How could he and Shen Cao be mutually avoiding each other? Clearly, he was chasing after him, and Shen Cao was avoiding him. "Ah Cao, ... don't believe this charlatan's words. Shen Cao, ... didn't believe him from the beginning. End chapter. Dandy escapes from marriage. Chapter 28. During the meal, Lu Shu heard the sound of soldiers patrolling outside and suddenly remembered another matter. What about the bandits? Has the government sent troops to capture them? They did. Shen Cao said in a cold voice. They sent 50 men who went out for a night and then came back, saying the bandits were too cunning. 50 men. Lu Shu was shocked. Wasn't that a joke? His family's guards numbered more than 50. Yes, the new prefect took office, and the county magistrate had to go to pay respects. It's inevitable for him to have soldiers escorting him on the way. Shen Cao explained. In that case, it seems that this bandit problem won't be solved. Lu Shu didn't care. These officials were always like this. They rushed to take credit for anything good, but when it came to solving problems, they just brushed them aside. They were good at networking though. Shen Cao turned to look at Hui Shang. Hui Shang had been away from town these days, going to beg for alms and heading towards the direction where the bandits roamed. He said, for now, it seems that these bandits only rob gold, silver, jewels, and crops, but they don't take people's lives. So, County Magistrate Fang is slacking and it's only the common folks who are suffering losses. Shen Cao paused and asked, any news about the new prefect? Hui Shang shook his head. I only heard that County Magistrate Fang knows nothing about him, so he's very anxious. Maybe this prefect was transferred from elsewhere, so his network hasn't been investigated in detail. In that case, the new prefect has no connections and influence here, so it's time to establish authority and make achievements. Shen Cao made a plan in his mind. I'm done eating, you guys continue chatting, I'll go help Big Brother Chow with bamboo weaving. Lu Shu put down his chopsticks and walked out. When he reached the door, he suddenly turned back. I'll come find you after I'm done, so don't wander off. Okay, answered Shen Cao as he thought to himself, who's the one wandering off anyway? Don't miss me too much. Lu Shu added. Hui Shang watched him leave, then turned to Shen Cao with a complex expression. Why are you two so close? Shen Cao coughed lightly and poured him a cup of tea. Here, drink more hot water. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Back at the market, Lu Shu took over the shift from the bamboo weaver. Before long, several girls came. He remembered them from last time. They gathered together and sent a representative to inquire about prices, and he ended up selling several items at once. This time, the girls surrounded him again. The older one asked about prices while inquiring, young man, how old are you? Where do you live? How many acres of land does your family have? How many siblings do you have? Are you married? With each question, the girls blushed, staring at Lu Shu intently. Lu Shu, I just want to make money from you, and you want me. But Lu Shu had a good sense and kept his always welcoming smile as he patiently answered their questions. I'm 17 this year and I'm from the country. My family doesn't have much land, so I have to come out to help my big brother sell these things. He stays up late every day making these items until his hands are all calloused, but these baskets are really useful. Look at how cute these bamboo rabbits are, he's really skillful. The girls immediately shifted their attention to the bamboo rabbits, touching their heads and picking up the baskets, while the older girl kept her focus, asking again, young man, are you married? Not yet. Lu Shu smiled. The girls looked up at him, blushing, and nudging each other, but then he continued, my big brother here isn't married yet either. I have to wait for him to marry first. He's skilled and reliable, just lacking a wife to manage things for him. May I ask where you charming girls are from? Are there any marriage prospects? How many acres of land does your family have? How many siblings do you have? Are you married? The girls, ... The brave girl leading them asked, where's your big brother? Let him come out and let us have a look. What if my sisters take a liking to him? He's gone to eat. He'll be back in a while. You can look at the goods first. Lu Shu replied. So, when the basket weaver returned, he found several beautiful girls standing in front of his stall, each one gazing at him, which scared him and made him hesitate to approach. Big brother, you're back. Lu Shu waved, come on, come on. The basket weaver walked back to his stall, finding several pairs of eyes fixed on him, making him feel like his rough face was being grilled by flames. Is this your big brother? He doesn't look like you at all. The leading girl observed, while the younger ones instinctively hid behind her, looking at this somewhat fierce-looking man in fear. Indeed, that's caused we're half-brothers. Lu Shu joked, but his craftsmanship is really impressive. If you want to buy, I'll give you a discount. Okay, keep your word. The leading girl bought a bamboo basket and handed the money to the bamboo weaver, who hesitantly reached out his hand, withdrew it halfway, wiped it on his clothes, and then reached out again to accept the money. The girl suddenly smiled at him, whispered something to her sisters, and then left. After she left, the bamboo weaver put the coins away, raised his head, and found Lu Shu looking at him with a meaningful smile. Big brother, remember to shave next time. Lu Shu laughed and pulled his beard, don't scare off the girls. The bamboo weaver lowered his head in embarrassment. I do look scary. Hey, I'm not talking about that. Lu Shu turned his head and happened to meet the gaze of the leading girl, chuckled, I mean, you might have good luck with the ladies soon. Big brother Xiao, ... The bamboo weaver's lips trembled slightly as he said, don't scare me. Lu Shu burst into laughter. Suddenly, a few raindrops fell on his face, and it started to rain heavily. The vendors all shouted and packed up, scattering in all directions in an instant. Lu Shu quickly gathered the remaining baskets with the bamboo weaver and ran to the nearest eaves to take shelter from the rain. The rain was heavy and fast, pouring under the eaves, quickly soaking their pants. Lu Shu held up the baskets, looked up at the darkening sky, not knowing when it would stop. Make way. Please move aside. At this moment, a carriage came speeding by. Lu Shu found the coachman somewhat familiar. As the carriage passed by him, the curtain lifted slightly, revealing half of Zhang Moshan's face. Soon, the carriage stopped and the coachman turned around and shouted, Young Master Xiao Wu, get in the carriage to avoid the rain. Lu Shu asked the bamboo weaver if he wanted to join, but the bamboo weaver dared not and said he would wait here until the rain stopped. Left with no choice, Lu Shu ran alone with the bamboo baskets and got into the carriage. Just as he got on, Shen Cao, who had just rushed over with an umbrella, witnessed him leaving in a carriage. He walked over to the bamboo weaver and asked, Where did Xiao Wu go? He went with young Miss Zhang. The bamboo weaver replied. Shen Cao looked in the direction where the carriage disappeared, furrowing his brows slightly. That wasn't the direction of the Zhang family. Such a coincidence. As soon as Lu Shu got on the carriage, a maid handed him a handkerchief. He took it and wiped the water off his head, thanked her, and noticed Zhang Moshan staring blankly somewhere, absent-minded. What's wrong with her? Lu Shu asked the maid in a low voice. The maid's complexion wasn't good either and she whispered, Master Fang sent someone to propose marriage again. Why not just refuse? The problem is, he said that from now on, only himself and the Fang family can come over and proposed marriage. He's not afraid to pester young miss for a lifetime. The maid said. It was clearly a threat. Even if others had the intention, they didn't have the courage. Who would dare to challenge the son of the county magistrate? Master Zhang was also worried, but he couldn't afford to offend him. If they didn't receive any other marriage proposals, then he might agree to this marriage and would prefer to make the marriage connections than to make enemies. Lu Shu glanced outside, the heavy rain showed no signs of stopping, and he asked, with such heavy rain, where are you going? I don't know, young miss said she wanted to relax but who knew it would start pouring as soon as we left. The maid said. Lu Shu suddenly said, are you planning to run away? Zhang Moshan finally reacted, her fingers moved slightly and she looked at him silently. But that doesn't make sense. If you're running away, why bring me along? Lu Shu immediately negated this answer, what do you really want to do? Zhang Moshan's eyes were empty, I don't know. I just want to go out and take a look. Maybe when I come back, I won't be able to go out again. Lu Shu understood her implication, are you planning to compromise? Zhang Moshan lowered her eyelids, I have to take my family into consideration. Lu Shu suddenly realized that they were somewhat in the same boat but the Zhang family couldn't compare to the wealth of the Lu family and he was far from that person in the capital. He could boldly run away but if Zhang Moshan dared to run away and not come back, the Zhang family would suffer. If you want to go out and take a look, there's no rush. Let's deal with Fang Qiang first. Lu Shu said. Zhang Moshan looked at him in puzzlement, deal with him. In consideration of your good nature, I'll help you deal with this man. Lu Shu raised an eyebrow. How are you going to deal with him? He's the son of the county magistrate and he has soldiers protecting him wherever he goes. Zhang Moshan frowned. Don't worry, I won't use force. I have my own way. Lu Shu whispered a few words to her which made Zhang Moshan looked at him somewhat uneasy, can you do it? It's almost a sure thing. Lu Shu assured her, so, you go back to the Zhang residence first, prepare what I need and I'll come to pick it up tomorrow. Zhang Moshan bit her lip, intending to advise him to reconsider but she saw the eager look in his eyes, as if he couldn't wait to do it any longer. The carriage changed direction and headed towards the Zhang residence. After stopping, Lu Shu opened the curtain, took the umbrella handed over by the servant, and jumped out of the carriage, holding the umbrella for Zhang Moshan behind. The two shared an umbrella and whispered as they walked up the steps. They heard the maid calling out, young master, Master K. Both of them looked up and saw two people standing at the gate, their expressions heavy. Where did you go in such heavy downpour? Zhang Moyang asked displeased. I just went out for a stroll. Zhang Moshan replied. Go back quickly. Zhang Moyang pulled her inside. Zhang Moshan turned her head and glanced at Lu Shu who nodded, indicating for her to go in first. Shen Cao, who was completely ignored throughout the exchange, muttered to himself. Let's go back too. Lu Shu stepped forward, smiling as he squeezed under Shen Cao's umbrella. Shen Cao tightened his fingers. As they walked into the rain, he asked, where did you two really go? Just around. We really just go around. Lu Shu said. Shen Cao naturally didn't believe it. Who would wander around in such heavy downpour? Just now, he learned about Zhang Moshan's situation from Zhang Moyang and guessed that she wanted to run away but she might have been persuaded to go back by Xiao Wu halfway. As for how he persuaded her, Shen Cao had no way of knowing, and Xiao Wu seemed unwilling to tell him. You? What? Nothing. I have to come back to town tomorrow. Lu Shu said. What for? To help Zhang Moshan with a small favor. I'll tell you after it's done. Lu Shu said. Shen Cao glanced at him for a while before nodding, okay. The two returned to the inn first. Their lower bodies were all wet, so they asked the waiter to prepare a charcoal basin, and they stood around it to dry their clothes. Lu Shu rubbed his hands and glanced sideways at another pair of slender hands. He stared at them for a moment, then he subtly moved his hand away and grabbed a few of Shen Cao's fingers. Shen Cao turned his head, looking at him wordlessly. Lu Shu acted nonchalant as he looked up at the sky but didn't let go of Shen Cao's hand. Shen Cao was about to speak when footsteps sounded outside the door, followed by Hui Shang pushing the door open. County Magistrate Feng has already taken people to Hui Prefecture, he. Before he could finish his sentence, his gaze fell on the intertwined hands of the two. What are you two doing? Lu Shu finished teasing Shen Cao and calmly withdrew his hand. It's raining, so I was warming his hands. It's good to have a brother. My hands are cold too, quickly warm them for me. Hui Shang came in as well, extending his damp hand with an innocent look. Lu Shu. End chapter.